in a time and place when you can work from the most dangerous city in Mexico.
Why the fuck wouldn't you?
It'll be great. You're gonna love it.
Santiago's back, and he's trying like hell to keep your gringas alive.
Guys, I think you need to take me to a Mexican hospital. It's just a little blood, Gringa. Don't even worry about it. The ladies have really fucked it up this time.
This is the Workationing Podcast.
Santiago came to town.
Santiago.
And he has left. He was here for a week. I think he was happy to get out.
I think he was ready. He fled and left behind his ding-dongs.
He did. We found out.
Which was a really savage thing to do to your gringas when you know they're on a diet.
Santiago, I know you're listening. I want you to know that when you left, we found your bag full of gas station snacks, including ding-dongs. There were chips. Was that a Milky Way? I think it was like a king-size Milky Way.
Yeah, it was a lot of filth and temptation, and I didn't appreciate it.
Well, the maid threw it all away.
I know, and we were so salty.
We've been staying on our diet so well. And then one day we were out at the pool, and we were like, oh, I bet you Santi's secret snacks are still somewhere in the house. The housekeeper Isabel probably did something with them. They're probably in some sort of cupboard. We just need to find them. So then it became an Easter egg hunt for Santi's gas station snacks.
I just wanted a ding-dong. I wanted one so bad. That was like and I wanted to like cry when I realized that they were gone. Which was the most pathetic, sad, fat kid moment of my life. But I really wanted that ding-dong.
I don't even like ding-dongs.
No, I don't either, but I was going to just...
That is just the cheapest, not even good cake rolled up. Is it the one that's rolled up, or is that the chocolate Twinkie? What is a ding-dong?
That's a Swiss cake roll.
Oh, no, it was one of those cupcakes that are cream-filled with the swirly thing on top, because that's what it was.
Right, but here's what I knew, is that shit was prepackaged.
Yeah, there was definitely probably not any E. coli on that.
Yeah. So, Anyway,
Santi, we found your snacks. We actually really wanted them, and Isabel did a gringa solid and made sure that we stayed on our diets.
That was a hard blow, though.
That we were pissed.
Took that one
but
hard.
I'll tell you what, we weren't going to have the balls to confront her about stealing our gas station snacks.
No, I might be pissed and hold it in my heart and remember it till the day I die, but I'm not going to ask her where my ding-dongs went.
And accuse her of stealing them.
You steal my ding-dongs. No, I will not do that.
Okay.
So Santi came to visit us, I would like to say out of just, love and, a desire to see our faces. But I think he was really concerned that we were going to die out here and felt kind of responsible for at least making sure we were safe.
Well, I wasn't the one talking to him throughout this. You were running point on the Facebook conversation with Santi and then just relaying the information back to me. And then, maybe I would say something back to you and you would maybe translate that to Santiago. But I was not on the receiving end of any of these links that he allegedly sent you.
So what had happened was...
Kelly...
Santi, when I told him where we were going next, because he wanted to know where we were going next, because his plan was to come meet us wherever we went, as long as it wasn't too crazy far. And I said, we're thinking Acapulco. And he said, you crazy ass gringa, what the fuck are you thinking? And I was like, what?
You told me. He was just like, no.
Yeah, no, he was, because, and I was shocked by that, because Santi has really traveled kind of all over Latin America for years. And, we met him in Medellín and he seemed very chill about that.
Oh, and just to remind everyone, we met Santiago in Medellín. Santiago is not of the Latin American persuasion. He is a good old Southern boy. And his name is not actually Santiago. His name is something else. But he goes by Santiago because he's constantly worried about being kidnapped.
For good reason. We won't say why. But
we won't say why, but yeah, I get it. So, like, Santi wants to keep his situation on the down low, which is why he has not participated in the podcast. I get that.
Yes. So, which is a real shame because he's a delight. But anyways, so I tell Santi we're going to Acapulco, and he proceeds to send me just a whole bunch of links and is like, promise me that you'll read these and please Google this. Promise me you'll do it before you book anything.
Yeah, that sounds like something he would say.
And I said, of course, Santi. And then just went ahead and made the executive decision to not do any of that. I didn't pop a single one of those links.
Just too many tabs open.
Oh, it was a lot of reading.
Slow down my browser.
You know?
I need that speed on all 74 of my tabs that I have open.
What I had already looked at were the sweet deals.
We had looked at the sweet deals. I think that I mentioned before, I was familiar with Acapulco through the Flo Rida video. Looked pretty cool there.
No, and I can really say with a lot of confidence that this apartment, the views from here, you might be able to equal this. You can't beat it. You know what? I don't think there's a better view than this in the world.
Not of this kind of thing, I don't think, with beach and mountains and
it's really second to none view-wise. There are
a lot of blown out buildings. Peppered in this. You know, it's like that salt meme.
Well, I couldn't say that on Airbnb.
Well, I will. There are some blown out buildings obstructing my gorgeous view of this shithole.
Well, listen, it was $1,500 a month. I was very excited about these deals.
I'm not mad at the price. I think we got a great deal on a place that we can potentially get murdered in. Fortunately, these tile floors, our blood's just going to clean right up.
Just going to mop that right up.
Isabel's going to have an easy time cleaning up the mess, I think.
Yeah.
And then they're just going to rent it out to some other stupid gringas on Airbnb.
I'm haunting this place.
I don't even want to haunt it. I want to haunt somewhere better.
There's a ghost of a gringo who haunts the halls looking for her lost ding-dongs.
Oh, that's good.
So anyways, we did it anyways. Santi was mad. And my favorite thing about him is that he was like legitimately kind of pissed. And then he booked a ticket and was like, I'll be there tomorrow.
That's literally what he did. We were here for 2 days before Santi was like, you ladies need a fixer. I'm coming. I'll let you know when I'm leaving.
And we were so grateful because we did need a fixer.
We really did. I was not pleased with the whole Airbnb situation. I was already not feeling very well. And I was thinking that maybe I wasn't going to be able to leave too much. That turned out to be true.
Yeah.
Turned out to be true. So the second day, was it the second day or third day that Santi was here, we had to pop over to the other Airbnb?
Yeah, so we booked this place, and I really was set on this place, and it was already booked for 2 days of the month that we wanted to be here. And so I talked to the lady, and she was like, don't worry, girl, I got you. My cousin has this dope beach house across town, and you guys can just stay there for like a super sweet deal for like half of what they usually charge for it. Mm-hmm. And so we were like, okay, cool. And the pictures looked amazing. There's this like rooftop terrace. It's open and just the pictures looked glorious.
Well, and that did exist
in a fashion.
It did.
In a fashion, it did. And so we thought this was going to be great, but what we didn't know was that when we woke up that morning, that Carrie was going to be knocking on heaven's door.
Jesus Christ. So I have, I guess, certain triggers in my head that I like to think about that I'm like, well, definitely if that happens to me, I'm going to the hospital immediately.
Right, you're a hardy lady.
If I get bit by a street dog, I'm going to have to catch that fucker because I'm not getting those rabies shots if I don't have to.
Oh, right.
Those are not great from what I understand.
Get my dog catching that. Don't even worry about it.
Listen, Gringa, I need you.
Like some kind of a lasso, but all right. Don't worry.
You know, if we can just cut off a piece of its ear, I think that might be enough.
I'm not cutting off a street dog's ears.
Listen, I need
even
to know
for you.
If I have rabies, Gringa.
God damn it.
Take one for the team.
Okay. All right, girl.
Anyway,
for you.
So listen, if I get bit by a street dog, like I said, I'm going to have to do something to get a blood sample from the dog. But then I'm definitely going to the hospital as soon as I do that. if I get a compound fracture with the quickness, I'm going to the hospital. If I just think a bone might be broken,
You're going to wait that out.
I might see if I can walk on it tomorrow.
But if your arm's bending in a place it didn't used to bend.
You gotta go.
Gotta go.
You just gotta go. I used to think that if I ever, clearly you can see that I've put some thought into this. I have other hospital scenarios. I won't bore anyone with those. But one of them has always been, if you ever throw up blood, you need to go to the hospital.
That
know?
seems like a good threshold.
Right? I've never thrown up blood before, but I was throwing up so much. And for 2 days straight, that in the middle of the night, I was going on another one of my puking sprees, and I puked up some blood, and I was just, oh no. And I actually said, oh no, so loud that Santiago heard me across the hall where he was sleeping. He comes out in his boxers and is like, are you okay?
Are you dying?
And I'm like, I don't know. And I pointed to my puke in the toilet. And I was like, I don't know, man. How's this look to you?
He's like, not good, Gringa.
I know.
Not good.
I know. Oh, God. But I think the only thing that I hated the thought of going into a Mexican hospital, an Acapulco hospital, more so than I did. It was just a little bit of blood. It wasn't that much.
I don't understand why, because everything here is just so sparkling clean and up to code.
Just up to code everywhere, And so I was just thinking of Kate's stories.
Right.
From when we interviewed Kate on the podcast and she talked about her experiences. And was it Ghana?
Yeah.
And she got sick and didn't have a good time with the hospitals there. Fortunately,
Well, her hospital had a dirt floor. I'm confident that Acapulco could at least do better than that.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, all right. I didn't want to find out firsthand. And so I was just, I think I'm done puking for a little while. Let me just see if I can walk this off in the morning. And the next morning I still felt like shit, but we had to move anyway.
Yeah, that was a real adventure. And it was, so we had to go all the way around to the other side of the bay. And when you're up here in our apartment, it really looks like the other side of the bay is just like, oh, you're just down there a few clicks. Don't worry about it. You'll get there in a minute. No, it's like a real ordeal. Also, I think we mentioned this a little bit before, but the Mexican cab situation in Acapulco.
Less than ideal.
I would say
suboptimal.
No AC, which I'm not trying to be a princess, but it is hot and humid AF.
It's a lot.
It's just, you're sitting there and you've been in the car for 2 seconds and there's just sweat
on your ankles. Did you know your ankles could sweat? And it's not even because you've got your ankles crossed and they're touching anything. Your ankles are just sweating on their own.
No, it's really intense. Anyway, so we're driving and I've got my eye on Carrie because homegirl is not looking so hot.
I was not feeling so hot. I'd felt better. Still had that blood in the back of my mind.
And this girl has a hair trigger gag reflex on a good day.
I do.
I
do.
So I was a little concerned about all the heat and the exhaust because you're sitting in traffic.
It was so gross.
It was so brutal.
Oh, God. Our cab driver smelled.
Yeah.
It was just not a good situation.
And then he got lost.
Oh, God.
And he didn't know where we were going. And for whatever reason, he would not believe anything that he saw on the magic witch box that we kept showing him. He was just like, nah. Like, he would not. We kept showing it to him. We're like, no, it literally just says turn left. He was like, he wasn't into it. So instead, he decided to go down into all of these little subdevelopments. And now this was on kind of the nicer, newer side of town. And what comes along with that is a lot of gated areas.
Do you live here? You can't come here then.
No.
That's what that gets you.
Yeah, no, and he wanted to like stop and talk to these very, very scary looking guards with very, very large guns.
These guards look way more legit than our guards.
No, they were very scary.
Oh, I got to see what a real guard looked like, I think.
Yeah, I don't think ours are up to code. Certainly not up to snuff.
It's a B team.
We really...
Like the C team, you know, just like
security school dropout. That's what we got. But these guys looked legit. But they didn't even want to talk to us. They were very scary and intimidating. And they were just basically like, you need to K-turn the fuck out of here is what you need to do.
3-point it.
Yeah, just get out. So we did finally get there, though. Thank God. It was not quite the way it appeared in the pictures.
No. I will say that the photos on that were... Did we go through Airbnb for that one?
Yeah, it was on Airbnb. We booked it through Airbnb too. So
okay. Yeah.
And the pictures looked fantastic. Now, here's the thing. So we come into this place and once again, we're in just an empty building situation.
Right. So I puke in the bushes just to christen the house.
Oh yeah. Just a little, but you made it that far. You were a real trooper.
I did not die in the cab.
That was great. And we got there and we're in this apartment building. And they take us up there. It turns out that our place was actually it was like an apartment and a rooftop terrace that you accessed from not within the apartment,
right,
but outside the apartment.
Yeah, you had to go outside up a set of sketchy stairs.
And this whole place was basically empty and sketch as fuck. The stairs were probably
death stairs. They were death stairs.
They were the scariest stairs I've ever seen. They had no railings whatsoever, and they just went just up, kind of up the middle. Mm-hmm. It's hard to explain, but you fell, and they were slick. There was a lot of like leaking water, and they were very smooth stairs.
They were tile.
Yeah, and so you really could just wipe out. Like those stairs had a drink limit. Because if you fell, you're going straight down.
Oh no! If you fall, you're going to see the inside of a Mexican hospital. Mm-hmm. That's what you win if you fall down these stairs. Yeah. Congratulations! Oh God damn it! Yeah. So we as adults, and I was physically impaired. I did not. I was so dizzy. I thought I was going to pass out in the cab. I was just, God, get me to this place. I know they have AC there. And they did, thank God. But walking up these stairs as somebody who just wasn't feeling well, I really had to take my time.
Yeah, no, that was a total mess. So that was not our favorite. And then also the next day, then I got deadly ill. So that was great. So we just had a great...
urine. Yeah. I started feeling a lot better the next day.
At least both of us, we were staggered. So Santi always had a dinner companion while the other one of us was at home just like dying. But whatever. It was great.
He went on a lot of Gatorade runs for us because Santiago knows how to make friends. And he made friends with a cab driver right away. And that cab driver ended up being his personal driver for the entire week that he was here. He worked out a deal with him. And as a result, we got lots of Gatorades and Mexican Pedialites.
We did. It was
delivered
great.
right to us. And that was good. And he also found his fedora. Because what's a Santiago without a shirt with the sleeves ripped off and a fedora?
Nothing. He's nothing. He's not my Santi.
And a Cuban cigar. You know?
Right?
It's Santiago for you. Some basketball shorts. But the cab driver told him all kinds of stories. And they corroborated, I guess, what he tried to send you via Facebook.
He did. So it was really interesting having Santi here because he has traveled so extensively in Latin America, and also because we knew him in Medellín. And Acapulco and Medellín, what they have in common is that both of them have had their histories over the last 60, 70 years really largely shaped by the cartels.
Right. And cartel activity and all of the things
just
that
general
go along with that.
Cartellery, if you will.
Cartellery. I think there's probably a little bit of drug war in there as well.
Yeah.
Ramifications of that.
So it's what was really interesting. So Santi would tell us all this stuff, and we ended up doing a lot of research because I'm not the first to believe everything a cab driver tells me. Mostly just because if there's anything that we've learned from traveling, it's that a lot of the people that you meet when you start asking about that sort of thing, first of all, a lot of them will just clam up and not tell you anything. But then the people who do tell you stuff, a lot of them they know that you're looking for the sensational story.
So they play it up a little bit.
Yeah. And they tell you, like, they make it sound worse than it is. And so we were a little skeptical at first, but it turns out, no, we shouldn't have been.
Yeah. So let's just talk a little stats, right? So how about Acapulco is Mexico's most dangerous city and has been every year since 2012.
Oh, well, what an accomplishment. A real achievement. the state of Guerrero, listen,
We're working on our Espanol over
very
here.
sorry about that.
Trabajo.
But anyways, it's the state where
Dang.
Acapulco is located, is one of the least developed and poorest states in Mexico. 70% of the state's 3.4 million residents are making their living in the informal economy, which basically means that they're self-employed. And so that includes things like the vendors that are on the beaches, the massage people that are on the beaches, taxi drivers, basically people just kind of freelancing in the tourist economy. But it also means for a lot of these people working for the cartels as well.
Right.
And so that's 70% of the people in the state. And then 2/3 of the population lives in poverty. So a lot of those people aren't making enough money to really even get by.
Well, Kelly, I heard that the mayor of Acapulco has said that there is a protective barrier around the tourism zone and that most of the murdering is happening further outside of the city center.
I'm going to go ahead and call bullshit on that.
Okay.
Can I just go ahead and wrong. So just in the last couple of years, we'll post links to the articles about this stuff. This comes
from the source links.
Yeah, and the source links in the episode description. This particular stuff comes from the Guardian, an article from 2016. And that was 2016, like last summer, was a particularly bad year here. And that's what we're hearing a lot from the locals as well. And although there had been kind of a series of things that had sort of degraded international tourism to Acapulco and tourism in general. So there was swine flu that affected all of Mexico, but Acapulco in particular. And there was some giant tropical storms that this place was not really able to equip to deal with. But the thing that really killed international tourism here was last summer. It was an extremely violent year last summer in particular. And they had cartel folks. They did things like storm into government buildings and shoot public officials. Oh. They like to jet ski onto public beaches and assassinate people in front of the locals.
That is some James Bond shit.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's very scary.
It's very scary. And they also have a history of leaving dead bodies with messages on them in public places where they know tourists are going to frequent. So that happened a few times, and suddenly the tourists don't want to come here anymore.
I hear they have a thing with heads in general. I read an article about them, I think, killing police officers and putting their heads on pikes outside of some sort of government building.
Yeah. And so there's this idea that the mayor wants there to be, that there's this protective barrier around the tourism zone. And what that really translates into is something that we've seen a lot here, which is just there is a shit ton. The police look like the military. The military are the police here, basically. And they're everywhere. And there's big just SUVs going by that are just full of guys in full camo, fatigues, and giant guns. Sometimes guns mounted onto the Jeeps.
Yes, they have welded turret-y things on top of the back of pickup trucks. And so they drive down the street with those. And you look at them and you're like, well,
right, like you're supposed to feel safer because
I don't know. Are you even supposed to stop if those people try and pull you over? Because I've heard some people say you just don't stop for cops here. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to do then, because all of this sounds like a recipe for disaster. It sounds to me like I'm in a no-win situation. If the police are chasing me, I'm really quite fucked.
Right. And so they have all these police and, like, honestly, like, it looks like troops here. If they're not troops, they look like them. That's supposed to be making the tourism zone safe. And then they're kind of spinning this narrative that all of the violence is going on kind of in the outskirts of the city away from the tourists. And although it is true that most of the murders that go on focus on, it's mostly people who aren't paying the cartels their cut of whatever they're supposed to be paying them, because everyone in town, whether you work for the cartels or not, is paying the cartel. Like if you are a taxi driver, you have a fee basically that you have to pay to the cartels. And so
also, from what I understand, if you're a massage therapist on the beach, or if you're any kind of vendor on the beach, then
if you're making any kind of money in Acapulco, the cartels are taking a cut. And that seems to be pretty much across the board. So although that's true, So it's not so much tourists that are getting murdered. Over the last couple of years, on multiple occasions, gunmen have shot and killed people in front of visitors on public beaches, and that in and of itself seems to be scary enough.
Well, and sometimes tourists do get caught in the crossfire. So in 2006, there was a shootout on the main tourist strip in Acapulco. If you've ever been to Acapulco, you know exactly which one I'm talking about. And it left 6 people dead, including a mother and her 8-year-old daughter.
Yeah, that's really intense. And also, there was actually one really horrible case. No one was murdered, but in 2013, there were 6 Spanish couples who had rented a very, very fancy beach house.
So 12 people total?
Yeah, 12 people total. And they'd rented a very fancy beach house together. It was broken into by a bunch of masked men who tied up and beat the men and gang raped the women for like several hours before they left, and then stole all their shit, which is just horrifying. I cannot even imagine.
No, and that many people too, because you think that there is safety in numbers once you reach a certain point. You know, I feel safer walking down the street or living in a place like this with you than I do alone. I felt safer when Santi was here.
Yeah, I did too.
And when he left, I felt less safe.
Well, the good news is that we have these really just top shelf guards.
We do. Oh, man. We've got
no
a crack team of just on the ball, really armed assassins. They don't need the guns that they're carrying.
No, and I have no doubt in my mind that they would selflessly lay their life down for mine.
In a heartbeat.
Heartbeat.
God, if there's one thing I know, it's that these
you definitely couldn't hand them like 500 pesos.
Cannot be bribed. These guards cannot. Not on their watch.
No.
I'm sure they've been vetted. I'm sure that they don't have any criminal backgrounds.
No.
Sure that somebody checked on that.
I'm sure that they're always in the gatehouse and not just fucking around somewhere.
You know, I was sure of that until the several times where I would ask to be let in or out.
No, half the time we come here up to our gate and our taxi driver has to lay on the horn for a good 10 minutes before somebody comes out still zipping their fucking pants up. What are you doing? Pooping, jacking off?
Can you do it closer to the guardhouse so that you can open the gate?
No, it's really annoying. And they really like us, they just like us so much.
Oh my God. They're so happy to see us every time we come in. And I really like how when we went to Casa Tarzan, they didn't record our comings and goings.
Right.
And then make a note so that our crazy Airbnb host could call us, find out where we were.
Yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, we didn't stay here for one
bitch,
night.
I'm back. Is that any of your business?
Yeah.
Clearly we're okay.
Just 2 unescorted ladies. She just needed to know, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Anyway.
Inquiring minds.
Yeah. So anyway, our guards are great. I think this place is very safe.
Right. So anyways, a lot of the problem is that the cartel really has a death grip on this place, mostly because it controls the entire economy and the economy's crashing. The mayor, I know, talks a lot about how they need the tourists to come back so that there will be jobs, but there needs to be jobs so that these people can have legitimate work so that they're not working for the cartels. There's kind of this paradox there. And the other paradox is that the economy won't recover until the tourism economy comes back. But the heavy police presence in the city with all of these scary ass guns everywhere may be scaring off some foreign tourists. It's scary. It looks scary.
Listen, people say shit about Puerto Rico. You don't see that in Puerto Rico.
No, I didn't see a single gun in Puerto Rico. I'll tell you that.
People say that about the Dominican Republic. Did you see? I didn't see any of that when I was in the DR. You spent more time in the DR than I have.
No, I didn't see that there. And I didn't see a lot of cops either. They were around, but they were chill as fuck.
I have driven through the northern part of Mexico a little bit. I can't remember if I saw any when I was passing through Tijuana, but I've never seen, I don't think that I can recall ever seeing, certainly not ever this many.
I've never seen such a truly militarized police force. It looks like they're heading off to war.
No, and all of them
sitting in the parking lot at Walmart.
Everyone tells you that they're corrupt AF. And so you don't know if that's Is it a cop and a cartel member? You don't know, probably.
No, and I don't feel safe when they're around. I don't feel safer because all I read about is how they're constantly having shootouts with the cartels. So if they're around, all I'm seeing is that I have the potential to be in the middle of a shootout.
What I'm getting at is nobody from Portugal or Spain or Paris or Belgium, Amsterdam. Can't imagine too many people from Amsterdam want to come on over to Acapulco on vacation.
No.
Because they'd be horrified by what they're seeing. This is not normal compared to Europe, compared to a lot of Europe that I've seen. Any of the Europe that I've seen, actually. Listen, I don't claim to be the best traveled person, but I've hit more than a dozen countries. I've seen some shit.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of seeing some shit, what's been really interesting about being here is comparing it to Medellín, because both, like we said, are so, heavily influenced by the cartels and shaped by the cartels. And when we were in Medellín, I think y'all remember, we were legitimately freaked out for most of that time.
Yeah, we didn't know.
I've never been so scared for so long.
Yeah, no, I was very scared. I will say, I don't think I've seen any child prostitution here. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm saying that it's not in my face and
it's not like parading around. Yeah.
It's not at our pool.
Right. So that's good.
I will say, though, that I think that the cartels in Medellín have their shit together better, as far as I can tell.
Well, it's very structured. So what's interesting here is that while we were so afraid of Medellín that whole time, we haven't really been that afraid here. I haven't been afraid. I've been wary, I've been aware, and I've been concerned. But I haven't been living in fear here. However, the thing that we were discussing the other night is that I think I think we were infinitely safer in Medellín than we were here. But it was just so
true. Yeah.
I think it was just so early on in our journey, and it freaked us out so bad early on that we just got scared, and now it's like we've seen some shit, and I'm just, well, I like more or less know how to keep myself safe here.
Medellín is like a dream city compared to Acapulco.
It is. So here's the big differences. So the Medellín cartel is it's very powerful. There really aren't warring cartels. There's like some warring that goes on, but for the most part, there's one cartel, and it's very, very strong, and they're kind of in charge of shit. They run everything. They've built basically the entire city.
Well, and in I think it was the Where We Went Wrong episode of Medellín, or maybe it was the spicy episode of the local flavor for Medellín. I won't forget it. There was a quote from one of the articles that we had found while researching it that I know that I mentioned during this episode. But the reporter was talking to somebody high up at a cartel in Medellín, and he said, "You won't see blood in the streets anymore. We keep it hidden." And I think you can see that that's largely true.
Yeah.
Especially when you juxtapose that with Acapulco, where there are literally heads rolling down the streets.
Right. And what's interesting, though, is that I think that there's probably a pretty similar amount of violence going on, but it is just the difference between being showy about it and being secretive about it. And in general, what I would say about both places, if you look at who's actually being murdered, if you're not involved in the cartels and you don't get involved, it's probably not going to be you.
Right.
It's mostly people who have fucked up, who have crossed them, who owe them money, that sort of thing. It's not random violence. And the problem is in Acapulco is that because they do it out in public and they do it in like this very demonstrative way to be scary, you could get caught in the crossfire, which is why I would say we're more in danger here than we were in Medellín. Because I just think in Medellín it just wouldn't happen around it. We wouldn't see it, and as long as we didn't do anything we weren't supposed to be doing, we're probably fine.
Right.
And here, I think it's just we are more at risk of being the victim of just random violence.
And Medellín really seems to want tourists.
Yeah, it really does.
Not that Acapulco doesn't, but I mean, you see that represented in the way they keep their city clean. You see that represented in the way you have access to things.
Well, when we talked about it during those episodes, there are parts of Poblado, the kind of fanciest area of town where we were staying, that are as nice as West Hollywood, even nicer.
Oh, God. San Francisco wishes, we said. And San Francisco probably still does wish. How many homeless people did you see in Medellín?
Yeah.
Just that one guy.
Just that one. He's probably somebody's like cousin or something.
Probably.
So he's allowed to.
Waiting for Jerry to get his shit together, you know?
Come on, Jerry. God damn it.
You're sleeping on the streets, Jerry, until you can get your act together.
He's just Oh man. So yeah, I wonder too. Now listen, I don't know anything about this. I'm just speculating here, but I do wonder if part of the big difference in the power structure of it is that in Colombia has always been a seat of like manufacturing. It's kind of the head of the snake.
Right.
Whereas Acapulco is, from what I can tell, more of a trade route. The drugs are coming through here. Mm-hmm. And so
or at least they used to be.
Right. And so I think that causes, it's just the cartels are a lot more organized and singular over there, whereas here it's people are getting involved in the trade, as opposed to like in Medellín, where Pablo Escobar built that and created an empire in the same way that one would create a business with just a lot more murder.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's just sort of messier. It's just messier here. You can tell it's just messier.
Well, and there was another stat that we found that it used to be 85 to 90% of the tourists were foreigners in Acapulco. And now 85 to 90% are Mexican. So it's only Mexicans are going to Acapulco, and that's the closest okay beach. Right? Because that probably is the closest okay beach.
Yeah,
for a lot
if you're
of
from
people.
like Mexico City, I think it's an easy, when we saw, that's a short flight.
Right.
It's like 45 minutes or
short,
something.
cheap flight.
Yeah. So that's definitely what we've seen reflected on the beaches too, is I have not seen a lot of Americans or Europeans that I can tell. It looks like most people look like they're relatively local.
Yes. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, not too many American, U.S.
No, I've seen almost no Americans here.
It's difficult. We have to. Our Spanish is getting a workout here.
It is. We're getting a lot better. You wouldn't know it from listening to it.
You would not, but we can communicate.
Listen, I can get the hell out of a cab, so.
You can, right? Aquí. Here's fine. Aquí bueno.
Yeah.
This is great.
Santi taught me a bunch of stuff, too.
Speaking of Santi. So he's gone now. We can talk a little bit of shit.
Yeah, we can. We love you, Santi, but we're going to anyways.
So your Gringas have been on a diet and exercise plan.
We have been. With the solid assist from just weeks of gastrointestinal distress, we're looking great.
We are.
We feel like shit. The vultures are circling, but
our clothes are so baggy.
You
know, just I feel like I'm another one of those death flus away from my goal weight.
Yeah, girl. You just throw up another organ, and you're gonna be. You're gonna be almost there.
God, Kelly's mom is a doctor. She's a doctor nurse.
Yeah, she's a PhD of nursing.
And so I actually took a photo of it.
My poor mother. I take pictures of the craziest shit and send it to her, and just the craziest questions.
Is Carrie dying?
And I'm just asking for a friend.
Should I be worried about this?
Yeah.
Photo. You know?
Right.
Face removed. I'm sure she knows your freckles at this point.
Yeah.
Just, Kelly, I know that's you.
Yeah. So anyways, just because Santi's here doesn't mean that the workout regimen stops.
No. Well, I mean, unless you're really sick, but
and even then, we just keep we're doing a good job.
We have been.
So we put in one of our horrible P90X bullshit.
Listen, it was
videos.
a PIO, little Pilates yoga, just like movement. Gringa.
It was horrible. And so we're just like, Santi, don't look at us.
It was hot. No, because we put these fans on us. So first of all, let me paint a picture. So as previously stated, these floors are tile. But one of the first things we did was go and get yoga mats. Mm-hmm. Actually, did we do that or did Santi get us the yoga mats? We did that. He got us the scale and
he got us all manner of things.
He was a good fixer.
He was.
And saved us a lot of time. Much appreciated. But so we get our yoga mats out and we roll them out on the tile floor and we wait until night because it's just too friggin' hot otherwise.
Yeah.
We get the fans going. We strip down to some sort of yoga pants and sports bra situation. A lot of exposed skin so that fan can really cool you off as you're sweating buckets.
Right.
And then we get to PIOing. Well, Santi was fucking off for a good half of it. He was just in his room really just doing anything but participating. I was happy with that. I get cranky when I work out. I'm not happy about it.
No,
it's not a good time for me.
We're just like snarling the whole time. We really are. It's like, you fucking bitch.
We do say that. We do. We cuss him out.
It's not very chill. It's not very zen.
It's not at all. Well, you could never do that in a real workout class, but when you're looking at a workout video, you can just really read them a new one.
Well, that chick has a real mouth on her, and I don't appreciate it.
She's a sexual predator, I think.
She really is. I hate her.
Creepy. You know, she rotates who she creeps on. I'm just, all right, you know, I think it's kind of entertaining sometimes.
It's you today, Mike.
I know. Sorry, Mike.
Sorry for your luck.
You shouldn't have such a hot bod, Mike.
I'm going to make you question your life choices, Mike. How you got here.
I know why you're on this video being harassed by this lady, but whatever. It's great. I love it. Anyway, so halfway through, he comes out. And he doesn't have a yoga mat, but he's decided that's not going to get in the way of him doing any calisthenics.
No. And he starts doing some.
Right behind Kelly.
Right? Yeah, only he's not doing what's on the screen.
Oh, no.
Because he can't be boxed in that way. No. He's going to do his own thing. And he launches into a whole lecture. I actually had to tap out of that video. I was about to die. They get really intense, and I'm just like not there yet. I did as much as I could, and I tapped out. And so I'm sitting out on the balcony with Santi, just sweating balls and praying for death. And he launches into a whole thing about how it was just a whole lecture basically about my diet and exercise routine and how he thought I should do it.
Well, by the way, you have lost, 70 pounds?
Yeah,
since January 1st.
Yeah, between Kari and I, we have lost, we're not quite there yet, but we are almost to 100 pounds combined between the two of us. And so I would say, I am losing weight as fast as a bariatric patient. And so I would say, you know what? I think I got this.
Right. It doesn't happen overnight, as we painfully are aware.
No, and we love Santi, and Santi, we love you if you're listening. But the thing that we noticed about it, and the reason we bring it up now, is that something that we've noticed, just a phenomenon that we've noticed, is that I don't think that there is a single man, and I won't mention any other ones to protect the guilty, but you know who you are. I don't think there's a single man who has spent any significant amount of time with us since we started this whole thing that hasn't spent literal hours talking to us about what they think our particular diet and exercise routine should be.
100%. I can think of one exception.
My brother?
No, two.
Kevin doesn't do that, but he knows better.
No, Chainsaw didn't.
Oh, Chainsaw didn't either. No, Chainsaw was just...
You get it, girls.
You guys are doing great.
Yeah, he's great.
Thanks, Chainsaw.
Yeah, I know, Chainsaw.
He's a real gentleman,
God, his mama raised him right.
He really is.
You can tell he's classy.
No, every text I get from him is just charming.
Oh,
I'm just charmed.
Holds out his hand to help you out of the cab, and I'm like, I got this.
I got this.
But you know what? I will take that hand. Just because I will let you open that door.
Just gonna take that strong ginger hand to guide me across this puddle.
Is he a ginger?
What do you mean? Is he a ginger? Yes, he is.
No, I classify that as blonde.
It's like a strawberry blonde.
All right, whatever.
You can compromise it's strawberry blonde. I'm going to text him after this. What does it say on your driver's license? But anyways, where we're going with this is that, not to, call people out or to be shitty, but I find it really interesting how, and it's just men.
It is.
Women want tips. Women want to be supportive.
Women will tell you what they're doing.
Yeah, they'll share their own struggle and they'll tell you what they do.
But the key difference with men is that men will tell you what you should be doing.
Yeah, specifically what you should and should not be eating. What kind of exercise routine in particular you should do. All of them have a different answer. None of them have had the same answer.
No.
And all of them are sure that this is the holy grail, the one thing that once they can just get this through my head and your head, that then the real weight loss is really going to begin.
It's true.
And homie, I have lost an 8th grader over here. Maybe a 4th grader. But definitely a grade school student.
Right.
So trust that I've got it. And I'm really tired of it. I'm tired of just nodding. Listen, I'm open. I am more open than I've ever been in my life. And actually, I credit you for that. I am more open than I've ever been in my life to receiving feedback. You constantly seek out feedback and you appreciate when people have the courage to provide that to you.
Right.
And I have never been that good with that. But I see it in you and it's a strength and I admire it.
Thank you.
And I've learned a lot from it. And I've learned to just get over myself and listen to people. Because it really does take a lot for people to go out on a limb and do that.
Well, especially if the feedback's bad. So anytime you ask somebody for feedback, what you're actually asking for is like time and headspace and probably like maybe uncomfortable situation, right? Because if you're asking somebody for feedback, chances are it's because you're not 100% sure, right, about whatever it is. So you get some feedback. Well, what if that feedback is negative? In order for that feedback to be negative, well, in order to get to that negative feedback, somebody on the other side of that conversation has to be willing to risk offending you and potentially damaging your relationship in order to deliver that negative feedback, because who knows how it's going to be taken? Who knows what kind of like resentment is going to build from the negative feedback? I know people who I can't say shit to.
Right.
And so I don't. You know, not because I don't think these things or because other people don't either, but it's just, it's either going to be a brick wall or worse than that, there's like a counterattack.
Right.
Or I don't know if that's worse than being real resentful afterwards.
It's always
like, well,
just
you
sort of
asked.
a can of worms, though.
You know, yeah, it's difficult. It's really challenging. It puts somebody in kind of a shitty position to ask them for feedback and ask them to give you honest feedback. You have to have a really strong relationship with somebody in order for that feedback to be honest and real, because otherwise I think people are just more likely to placate you and tell you what they think you want to hear.
Right. I really admire that. And it's not that I'm opposed to feedback, but what I'm finding I really have zero patience for anymore is this prescriptive lecturing.
It's the worst.
I cannot handle it, and it only comes from men.
All the time.
I don't know why it is that men in particular feel the need, not even the need, that they feel empowered to lecture me.
Yes. Well, in ways that no lady I know would talk to me like that. Do you know what I mean? I've had guys tell me that I'm almost hot. You just need to drop a couple pounds.
Right.
Like, I didn't fucking ask you, actually.
Right.
You know? Like, all right.
No, and honestly, in getting into shape, I've exposed myself to this in a way that I've never been exposed to it before, in a way. Because something that you and I have talked about is that we have this weird thing that happens. So Kari and I are both single ladies. We're dating. We're going through all of this. And we talk about everything because we're just
in each other's faces all the time.
Me again.
Hi.
Hey, girl. Did you miss me since you saw me 30 seconds ago? It's me again. And so we talk a lot about this stuff, and we're very, very open with each other. And Kari you go through that where guys are like, oh, you're almost hot. Like, and because you're a more petite girl,
right? I
think that men have a lot, for whatever reason.
They feel real comfortable telling me I could lose 5 pounds. And if I did, it would just be great.
Yeah.
Well, and then it would be great. And I'm like, I think but then if I lost 5 pounds, then what would the next thing be?
Right. No, and you seem to get this from just most of the dudes that you...
Oh, guy friends.
Yeah.
Guys that I have dated. Guys that I am dating. Sometimes I go out on dates.
Right. And now, granted, I am in a different position because I have a bunch more weight to lose. And I think a lot of people just don't even want to have that conversation to me. Like, they're like, you know, you're fat, girl. So it's just not the same thing. But also, I attract men who are into a very different body type.
Right.
I think that you attract men who are into a more petite, athletic frame.
That's what everyone says about me. God, Kari's so petite and athletic.
You are these
with
days.
her frame.
You're
Listen,
getting there.
I'm working on it.
You're getting there, girl. And
I still laugh to hear it, but it's true.
But for me, the thing that I've run into is that I am someone who is not going to tolerate subpar sex. And I'm also not going to waste time on somebody who's not just ridiculously infatuated with me, because why? And so I date men who are very into this situation. And what's interesting is that now that I'm losing weight, I'm getting it from the other side, where guys that are the guys that I've been seeing, we'll say, gentlemen callers are like, oh no, you shouldn't lose weight. You're perfect. Your body is glorious. And I'm so offended by that, because I just sat here and told you that I am working actively on losing weight for my health, because it makes it easier for me to travel, because I feel better about myself, because I recognize that for my career to go to the next level, that I need to look like someone who is a really hard worker, and that involves having a fitter body than I have right now.
Right.
And just the idea then that they think, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to not do all of that so that I'm sexually attractive to you in particular.
Right.
Fuck you, I'll find somebody else.
Yep, men are like buses. There's going to be another one by in like 5 minutes. Don't worry about it.
Right. I can have another you in a minute.
You can. Yes.
Don't worry, he'll be here in a minute.
It's very true.
Beyonce,
I was just going to say, sings to my soul sometimes.
To the left.
It's like, whatever. Just, yes.
and just the fact that then they, for some reason, now that when you're just being a fatty, there's something about it that still really appeals to me. And I see now a lot of the reasons why I got as big as I did. And a lot of it was just that doing that isolates you from this kind of bullshit. I'm just out of the conversation on that. And I like to be. Nobody and everybody feels like they can't really comment on your body, so they don't.
Right.
And now that I'm back in the game, I'm just, how dare you? You know what I mean?
No, I do, because it's really frustrating. It's like, oh, great. Just what I want to talk about. My eating habits and how much I work out so that you can critique me on it, because this is consistently what happens every fucking time, with the exception of those two people, those two guys that we chainsaw and your brother. The only two, literally.
No, and it infuriates. It infuriates me. And I will say this, though. I've done some thinking about it, because listen, these are all people that, I continue to see, you know?
Oh, no, I like these people.
No, these are people that I'm friends with.
They mean well.
These people, if you're listening, still love you.
Uh-huh, we're still friends.
And what I've thought, I'm like, why is that? Why is it that men in particular feel they can comment on it in the way that they do, and sort of the lecturing way that they do? And it made me think of the way that people, in like relationships, I think it's kind of a trope, but I think it's true in general. Not obviously just to generalize, that doesn't apply to everybody, but a lot of times, like a struggle in a relationship, like a stereotypical male-female struggle, is that like a woman wants to be upset about something or stressed out about something, and she just wants someone to sympathize, not to like fix it. But a guy is like, well, you've brought me this problem and I need to fix this for you. Like, they feel like there's an expectation of fixing it, and they're not trying to be shitty.
Right.
They're just trying to, they're like, well, you've expressed a problem, and I would like to, you want me to fix this, right? So I think it might just be like a male-female communication issue that's kind of universal.
Nevertheless annoying.
Nevertheless, I'm going to fucking punch the next person who does it.
I know. The next guy.
Y'all are on notice.
Oh, man. Isn't even going to see it coming. Just
God help him, the next one. Just God help you, sir.
You're just going to throat punch him and yell over his body like, I warned you.
That guy fucking told you. I'll eat bread if I want to, you motherfucker.
Damn it.
God. Jesus Christ. So intense.
Bananas have too many carbs,
Right.
Just like, you can't do anything right. You should go vegan. No, you should go paleo. No, you really just need to start your day off with some bulletproof coffee.
Yeah, which is it, gentlemen?
You need more kale.
If y'all are going to lecture me, you're going to all have to get together and come to a consensus.
The fruit's going to have to go. Gringa.
No, you should only be eating raw fruits and vegetables.
No. You've just got to limit yourself to the berries, and you have to watch the sugar. As long as it's not high on the glycemic index, you're going to be okay.
Or what you can do is you can fast for just many days at a time. Because that's really going to get you where you need to go.
Yeah, what you need to do is just drink this cayenne, pepper, lemon, and maple syrup concoction.
That's going to be great.
That's going to sustain you for 21 days.
No. What you should do is you should do a dry fast. And you should not drink or eat anything, but you are going to be putting coffee up your butt throughout this process.
Oh, coffee enemas, okay. All right, it's just a different way to take your coffee in the morning. Okay.
These are literally all things that we have had to listen to literal hours.
I'm not even done. Somebody told me to drink Soylent, and I was like, well, you can just fuck right off forever. Right? Do you know who you're talking to? The tapas queen eating.
Right?
Eating Soylent, I think not.
You're going to need to eat a small meal every 2.5 hours. JK, you're going to need to do intermittent fasting, and you're only going to eat for like 6 hours a day. Meanwhile, over here, I've just been putting less shit in my mouth and moving more.
Yeah.
And just melting away. But what do I know? I've just lost a grade schooler in the last 6 months.
But you could think of how much you could have lost if only you did
If
it the right way.
I'd only listened to all of these men. God damn it.
I wonder, is there anything else that men do that with?
It's other stuff. You know what comes up all the time for me is sports. Because I'm not a huge sports fan, but I am a huge Cavs fan.
Oh,
right. And then by extension, I have to know about all of basketball. And no one gets obsessive about a topic and learns everything about it in 2.5 days, quite like I do.
This is very true.
So I legitimately know a lot about basketball, and I'm really good with stats. I've got a good memory.
You follow all of their wives on Snapchat.
No, and I know everything. I know their favorite color, and I know their plus minus rating. You know what I mean?
I don't even know what a plus minus rating is.
Well, girl, I do.
Is it
the
a shoe
point.
size?
You know, right? But as soon as I tell a guy that I like the Cavs, they will launch into just a manifesto and really explaining it to me. Not even this is my opinion, but like, so what's going to happen is, or what happened was, or what you got to know about the Cavs is. And I'm like, bitch, don't you tell me what I got to know about the Cavs. I'll tell you what you got to know about the Cavs. It's just shit like that. And I'm always just like, so what's that? Okay, cool. I hear all that. But so what's that orange thing they keep throwing around? Like,
I can't even.
So sports is a lot like that. There's other stuff. Mm-hmm. It happens a lot. Like mansplaining is a thing and it sucks. But there are certain topics in particular that I feel like.
Mansplaining the weight.
The weight thing and the sports thing is where I encounter it the most. And I'm just like, I am actually smart over here.
Incapable. Look at the manicures. Well, don't look at the manicures now.
No.
Not here.
No,
we're going to save that for the Where We Went Wrong episode, I think.
Yeah, we've gone wrong.
We took a real long feminist detour. Hope people like that.
Hope you love it.
So Santiago left. We still loved him even after he did weird workouts behind our weird workout, but that was just the one time.
No, we adore that man. He is really, really a sweetheart. He took care of us when we were sick. He
really did.
Helped us out. He ran like tons of errands for us that he did not need to. He bought us a bunch of fancy dinners, or at least what passes for a fancy dinner in this town.
Yes, he did.
And he was respectful and wonderful and lovely.
No, I really like him. I love him to pieces. He's going to be a lifelong
This was not meant
friend.
to be a Santiago bashing session.
No, it totally wasn't.
We love Santi.
Kicked off a series of conversations that we've had about something that had really been bothering us. And so, guys, listen.
It was just when he did it, it made me, like, after that conversation, I was just like, you know what? Like, it's been every man that we've spent any significant amount of time with in the last 6 months. Basically, with 2 exceptions.
Right, with 2 exceptions. So, I mean, there are exceptions to this rule. And
these are all people that we love.
Right.
We love you guys.
Doesn't make you an asshole.
And listen, we know we're fat, okay? We're working on it.
Working on dechunkifying over here,
Just give a gringa a little credit, though, when she loses a 4th grader.
Yeah.
Trust
maybe she's doing some stuff just because she's not doing it right in front of you right now.
And just because we're not doing it your way, there's other ways.
I don't think you have to have a coffee enema in order to get skinny. I think people have been getting
hope not,
skinny without coffee enemas for a long time. That's not on my bucket list. I don't want that.
I don't drink things with my butt.
Sounds like something they do to you in a Mexican hospital, honestly.
No, I'm not butt chugging. I'm not a frat boy.
Do frat boys butt chug?
They do. They put tampons soaked with vodka.
Okay, no, see, now I know that this is an urban myth. I go to the National Sex Ed Conference every year.
You're telling me no one has ever butt chugged?
Not through a tampon. I think it might be possible with a beer funnel. With a funnel, maybe
just a 6-pack to the colon.
I think that might actually, but the tampon, no, because think about it. You soak a tampon in anything, it expands.
No, I thought about that too, and it's really pushing rope, trying to get it up there.
Somebody actually tried it. So there was a sex ed teacher who actually tried it.
Goddamn,
just
those
to prove that,
courageous sex ed teachers.
No, those sex ed teachers. Oh God,
anything for the cause, man.
I really love those people. I love the sex education community. It's the best.
Oh man.
Anyway, so Santiago.
You heard it
left.
here first.
You're gonna hear us say a lot moving forward. Don't put your eyes in that.
Don't put your eyes in it. Because that's what Santi told us about about the water. He's like, no, the beaches are fine. The water, don't worry about it. Just don't put your eyes on it.
Put your eyes in the water. And he's out there and he's swimming, and there's used condoms and empty Pepsi bottles floating by him.
He's just don't put your eyes in it.
I'm like, but what about
I'm not sure that's the only point of entry.
No, what about my vagina?
Like, right? Like, I hope you weren't planning on using that womb, because it's just a
Damn it.
it's just a real horror show in there now. It's just radioactive.
There were a few times where he was like, just don't put your eyes in it. And he asked me, Carrie, are you still brushing your teeth in the shower? And I was like, nah, man. No, and I don't. I got a bottle of Listerine, and I stick my toothbrush head in the Listerine before I even do fucks with anything.
Well, you did before it fell out the window.
We're a bottle of Listerine down.
Yeah, we got to hit up the Walmart.
Storm came through, created a backdraft.
The wind here.
It's
a real problem.
The Listerine bottle didn't make it. You know?
The gardener's going to find that. Just be like, oh, Gringas. God damn it.
Listerine bottles everywhere. Coconut water bottles in the trash.
Oh,
the Gringas were here.
Gringas.
Okay, so did we do it?
I think we did it, girl.
All right.
Let's go try to hydrate.
Yeah.
That seems crucial.
Yeah, more Pedialyte, more Mexican Pedialyte. Oh, it's expired though. But just 2 months ago, I mean, none of this is up to code.
No, it's fine. Just don't put your eyes in it. This has been another episode of the Workationing podcast. If you like what you've heard here, please consider donating at patreon.com/workationing. That's patreon.com. All proceeds will go towards funding our bucket list items.
To keep up with us in real time, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at Workationing. Or on our website at, you guessed it, workationing.com. That's workationing.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode.
That's right.
My announcer voice.
You know, knocking the cobwebs off.
Next on the stage, Cinnamon. Cinnamon, next on the stage.
What?
That's my strip club announcer voice.
Oh, all right. Well, you've got a fallback career. I'm glad.
Not everyone has
we might die here.